Hi and welcome to this video. I'm going to show you how you can use flows in AttackForge to send custom emails on events. Flows is a new module in AttackForge, which is purpose-built for automations and integrations. Before we get started, you'll find a copy of this flow on our support site, so you can also follow along here as well. And if you head over to our AttackForge Flows GitHub repository, there's an example here as well for sending custom emails where you can download the flow from here and import it into your own AttackForge to get started fast. So let's see this flow in action. So here, if we jump into AttackForge, we'll see that I have a flow that's configured to run when a project request gets created. And that's going to send a custom email out to tell people about this project request. So let's go in and create a project request. So from the projects module, we're going to click on create a project request. And here, this is a completely custom scoping and intake form that I've set up. So I'm just going to go through and fill in some information here for the purpose of submitting this request. Now, let's go in and add a test window and when we need tests to be completed. Now, let's go in and create that. And we'll see now that our request has been submitted. So if we head over to our flow and now click into that, we'll see that there was a run of that flow that executed just now. So let's click into that and see what happened. So we'll notice that this flow has only one action, and that action is to email account managers. Really just to let them know about this new project that just got requested. We can see the input into this is the data from the project request. So here we have all that information that I just filled in moments ago. And this information is going to be used to then be put into that email that's going to go out to tell the account managers about this project. Now, if we click on the HTTP tab, we'll see a little bit more information about what was actually sent. So here we can see that we're leveraging AttackForge's self-service API to then go in and send this custom email. And we can see that we were posting that data and we got a 200 response back, which is a good sign. We can see the data that was sent. So here's the headers. So we can see the content type and the AttackForge API key. But also, who was the recipients of this email, who was CC'd, what was the subject, and also what was the text or body of the email. And we can see that the AttackForge server responded with a accepted message, which again confirms that the email should have been sent out, as well as any sort of other headers as well. The log section can just help you with debugging, troubleshooting, just getting a bit more information as well about what's happening. You could always log out the email bodies here as well if you ever just want that information as well. So let's take a look at this flow in a bit more detail to see how is it actually sending these emails. So we're going to open up the flow and click on edit. And we'll notice here that firstly, this is configured to run when a project request is created. Now this example is really sending an email for the purpose of telling account managers when a project request gets created. However, you could use emails in any way that is necessary for you. You could have flows which are built with the purpose of sending an email, or you could have flows where sending an email is just one of the steps. That's part of an entire sequence of actions that need to take place. So in this example, we can see that we're leveraging AttackForge's self-service API to go and send this email. Now, if we open that up, AttackForge has a dedicated API which allows to take any sort of recipients in the two CC and BCC. As well as supply your own subject and body text in both plain text and HTML versions as well. So this is a really great API because it can be used as a general purpose email sending API to make sure that your emails are coming from AttackForge, and they have the consistent look and feel. So coming back to our flow, if we open up the request script, what we'll notice is that on the right hand side we have some test context. Now, because this is a project requested event, we have some example data of what a project request would look like. So we can see some of that information there that we would have access to. And this is all accessible via using data as here in the request script. Now, on the left-hand side is the request script itself, and this is where all the processing happens as we're setting up this email in order to send it to that API to then go and deliver it. So here we can see some information about what the request is going to look like. So this is the request to the AttackForge API, and we're supplying a particular body, and this body will need to match what we're seeing here within the API documentation. So we can see that it's requiring at least some recipient, whether it's in the to or CC or BCC. So that's something that needs to be supplied, as well as the subject and the body of the email itself. So from here, we can start to add in really all that information that we need. You might know the emails, or that information might come across from a custom field. So again, depending on who that recipient list is, or that information might need to be pulled in from a separate API call. So again, using flows, you're not limited to one request, one action. You can have as many actions as you need. So if you wanted to go and retrieve data from some other API with a list of users, then you can go and do that as a precondition into sending the email. Now, this is a very simple example, so we're going to send the email as straight away. But again, you're not necessarily limited by that. When we send data in the to, the API accepts both emails and also user IDs. So here's an example where we've supplied a straight up email address, and separately we're also supplying a user ID. So this is an AttackForge user ID, and that way, without even knowing that user's email address, we can go in and send that user emails. And this is great because a lot of the AttackForge APIs will have user IDs attached to the data. So it's really useful to use those and send it out. The similar is supported for CC and BCC as well. In this example, we can see that in the subject, we're just mentioning that a new project was requested and please follow up. Again, the purpose for this email is for account managers. Here we can see we're taking some data from the request itself. So the project request name and the start date as well. So that might be useful for anyone who needs to sort of triage this request. Now, all of this scripting is happening using AFScript, and AFScript is AttackForge's programming language. So if you're new to AttackForge or you've never used AFScript, please do come along to the support site, have a read, watch some videos, and just familiarize yourself with it before you start building your flows. It will make the process much faster. So we can see now how the email is going to look. So let's take a look at the response script. Now, the response script is the data coming back from that AttackForge API that is now telling us, whether it accepted a request for an email or not. So the response will come back with as an object which has the status code, the HTTP headers, and the HTTP body as well. Now, based on the API documentation, we're expecting, if it's successful, it will return a 200 with a status field that has a value of accepted. So we can use that in our flow, really just to make sure that that is exactly how we're going to handle it if it is successful. So here we can see that we are extracting the body from the response and checking if the field status exists and whether it's equal to the string accepted. And if so, then we can finish up this flow and log a message saying that the email was sent. So that's again going to help from looking at the logs for each instance of or each run of this flow. In other cases, we can go in and just abort that. You can also add some extra logging here as well if you need some additional debugging and troubleshooting. So all of that's again supported in AFScript. So that's really all there is to it. You can now use custom emails in your flows wherever you might need them. Again, whether it's a purpose-built flow for just sending an email, or whether sending an email is just one step or one action in many different in a sequence of events in a flow. So you can have that ability now to leverage emails whenever you need them. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.